Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Can you guys hear me? Okay. So, did you all go through the notes that I have given yesterday about grouting? Grouting notes, did you go through? All of you? Yes or no? Okay, it's 10:21. We can start, I guess. Is the screen visible? Can you see the screen? Okay. So yesterday we could not carry on, and so I have shared you the notes. So it would have been better if you would have gone through, because line by line I won't be going. So as far we have discussed, we have seen that there are two types of grout materials. One is classified under suspension grout, and the other classification is under solution grout. Okay, so suspension grout, I have told you that here the grout is mixed in two phase. Okay, if we take some materials like cement or soil or lime, whatever we take, we mix it with water or some other liquid material like asphalt, bitumen also we can use, but generally water is preferred. So it is a two phase system. Okay, we mix them and then we inject it to the subsurface soil or rock. Okay, and solution grout is the type of grout where there is only one phase. Okay, it is a one phase system. Like we can use any chemical which is already in the liquid or fluid form, we can say, which is already in the fluid form. Okay, various chemicals are there, like sodium silicate gel is there, then other various chemicals are there which are in the fluid form, so that are classified under solution grouts. We need not mix them with anything else. Okay, like cement, if we use cement, lime, soil, we can, these are available in the powdered form. Okay, it has got particular grain size. Okay, the grains are separated, so we need to mix it in the form of slurry and then we need to insert. We cannot insert the powdered form. Okay, we cannot insert the powdered form, that is not going to help us. So that is suspension grout. And solution grout, it is already in the fluid form, it is chemical. So that is, it has got no particular grain size, there is nothing, no question about grain size and all. So that is solution grout. So I hope it is clear. Now for suspension grout, since we have grain sized, and for what should be the size of the grain as compared to the void's dimension. See, in last class I have told you we should take care of the void dimension through which we are going to insert the material. Okay, the grain size of the grout should be smaller than the void dimension, I have told you in the last class. So for that purpose, to see that thing, that whether the condition is satisfied or not, we have got a particular ratio that is called a groutability ratio. Okay, GR. It is denoted by capital GR, and it is obtained by this formula D15 by D85. D15, all of you know what is D15 and D85. In D15, the 15% of the soil is finer, and D85 is 85% of the soil is finer. Okay, and D15 size should be a formation, that is the material which we are going to use as grout, like cement, sand, whatever we use. That particular thing has to be of D15. Okay, and grout. Okay, sorry, D15 is the size of this finer that is being grouted. Okay, and D85 is the grout that is being injected, like cement, sand, whatever we are going to use. That particular thing should be of D85, where 85% should be finer, and D15 should be of the formation, that is the place where you are going to, the thing which you are going to grout. Okay, like the surface, the soil where grouting is to be taken, is to be done, that should be D15. Okay, and this groutability ratio should be more than 20. If this satisfies if it satisfies this groutability ratio condition, then only we can use that particular grout in for that particular place. Okay, now since suspension grout, what is suspension grout, you have known. So there are various types, like grouting with soil. We can grout with soil. So you go through this, nothing much is written, just the specification, how much should be the size, what should be the permeability order and all. So these things are written, so you go through. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Then we have grouting with cement mixes. So we can use ordinary Portland cement and water. The water cement ratio should be 0.5 is to 1 to 5 is to 1, depending upon the ground condition and required strength. So depending upon the ground condition, we can determine the water cement ratio. Okay, if we do the grouting with cement, then we if cement is used, then we should see the rate of bleeding, curing, everything and all. Okay, so the main thing is water cement ratio, how to maintain. So the range is given, and depending on the type of ground where we are going to do the grouting, it will the water cement ratio will depend on that. Okay, next we have grouting with, okay, so these are the some common additives that can be used along with cement. So some chemicals like calcium chloride, sodium silicate, sodium aluminate, these are the few additives which we can use when we grout with cement. Okay, now some of the additives will accelerate the process, that is accelerator. Some will retard the process, retarder. And these things will completely depend on what type of soil we are going to grout, what the location or the site where you are going to do grouting, what type of soil is there, and what is the desirable strength required, how much strength we want. Depending on this, we'll add our additives. Okay, so you can go through this table, nothing, it is not much important, just for your knowledge you can go through. Okay, then we have grouting with asphalt emulsion. So asphalt emulsion, all of you know, it is the refinery product which is obtained from refining industry. Okay, so we can grout with this also. Here some gravels are mixed, then in the asphalt, and then it is grouted. Okay, gravels are sand size of very this size should vary from 1 to 2 micrometer in diameter. Okay, and generally this grouting is used for rocks. Okay, if there is any cracks or falls, and something is cracks or something is there in the rock fissures, then we use this grouting. This grouting with asphalt emulsion is much suitable for rock grouting. Okay, Then we move to solution grout. Solution grouts, I have told you that there is only one phase that is only chemical. Other phase, like we don't use the like which have a few grain sizes which can be defined with the help of grain sizes. Nothing such thing is there. Only chemicals we use. But these chemicals we can use either one type of chemical or we can use more than one. That is two or more chemicals we can mix and we can use as grout. Okay, so depending on that, we the system is classified under one shot system and two shot system. Okay, you can see here one shot system or two shot system. Now what is one shot system? One shot system is nothing but if we inject the chemical directly into the soil or directly through the voids. Okay, just one type of chemical uh, we are injecting directly into the soil, or if we are using more than one chemical like two or three chemicals in one shot system, what we do, we mix first. We mixed the chemicals outside by our own means. However you mix the chemical and then you insert the chemicals. Okay, this is about one shot system. Now two shot system is uh, it we apply the chemicals in various phases, like if we are using more than two chemicals, then what we do, first we insert the first chemical, then after that we insert the second chemical. Okay, then if we are using third chemical, then again after inserting the second chemical we will allow it to set for some time and then we will insert the third chemical. Okay, so in phases, in various steps we insert the chemical. That is two phase system. Okay, is it clear? And nothing much is there. You can go through if you will understand. And what else, grouting, so there's it has got several advantages. The solution grout has got several advantages over suspension grout, like absence of particulate matter, like grain size and all is not there, so we need not measure the grain sizes and all. Okay, then low viscosity and control over setting time, so we have complete control over the setting time in case of solution grout. Okay, this diagram is not much important. If you want, you can go through. I hope you'll understand. If you don't understand, you can ask me in the next class. The most important thing is you should go through. Then, following detailed classification of solution grouts have been made. So, these are the few classifications of solution grout. Like if we use aqueous solution. So, under aqueous solution, what are the materials that come? These are silicate derivatives, then other minerals, gels, lignosulfide derivatives, acrylamide, phenoplast, resins, these things. Okay. Then colloidal solution is organic solution and mineral solution. Then nano aqueous solution, under nano aqueous solution, these are the things: synthetic resin, vulcanizable oils, etc. Then emulsion, then product reacting with the ground, then combined system. Combined system consists of combination of the above types. Okay. So basically they are classified into aqueous solution, colloidal solution, non-aqueous solution, emulsion, and product reacting with ground. This is reaction with groundwater, water salts, reaction with groundwater. Okay, so some chemicals are there which will react with the groundwater that is present in the subsurface layer. Okay, so depending on that. So these are the classification of solution grouts. Now silicate derivative, it was classified under aqueous solution, so you can go through what are its characteristics, what are its properties. You can go through. There is nothing to explain. If you have any doubt, you can ask. And how grouting process is done, the YouTube video I have shared the link in the portal, you can go through that. Okay, then lignosulfate, these are the various derivatives. Just now we have classified which one comes under which category. Just the characteristics are mentioned here, you all of you go through. Okay, This table also is not much important, just the classification, these sizes and all are given. If you want, you can go through and you can ask in the next class. Next we come to compaction grouting. Okay, so before also little bit idea I have given you about compaction grouting. So what it is, a little bit details is given here. See, in other types of grouting, what is done, the grout is injected through the grout pipe and it flows freely to fill up the voids. Okay, but in case of compaction grouting, what happens, the grout is injected through the grout pipe. It reaches the end of the grout. When it comes out of the pipe in the subsurface layer of the soil, it forms a compact mass. Okay, tight mass, or in the bulb like structure it forms. Okay, bulb like structure is formed, and this mass they give pressure to the surrounding soil. Okay, the soil that is surrounded, like here in the second figure you can see the bulb is formed, and this bulb it creates pressure to the surrounding soil. Okay, so because of this pressure provided by this bulb, the surrounding soil gets compressed. Okay, as a result the voids are sealed. Okay, so this is about compaction grouting. So compaction grouting is applicable to partially saturated, cohesive or organic soil masses, sealed sand and soil containing void pockets. It is also used to stabilize soil under residences and light commercial buildings and sometimes foundations of large structures. So these are the advantages of compaction grouting. It is given minimum disturbance to the structure and surrounding ground during repair. So for repairing work, we can use compaction grouting and it creates less or minimum disturbance and minimum risk during construction. Greater economy supports all portion of structure, reduced need for extensive exploration, greater flexibility, groundwater not affected. So in case of this, groundwater is not affected. Like some chemicals, if we insert, the chemicals may move inside in order to fill up the voids, and that may react, and that chemical may react with the groundwater, and sometimes some harmful effects may also be there. Okay, but in case of compaction grouting there is no such chances, no chances of doing this thing. So it forms a compact mass, so it is the groundwater is not affected at all. Okay. Now along with it advantages, it has got few disadvantage also, like relative ineffectiveness in stabilizing near surface soil. Now you see the mass is formed in the subsurface layer and the soil which are surrounded by the which are surrounding the surrounding soil gets compacted. Now the soil which are bit farther away, which may not have any effect of this compaction. Okay, they may not get compressed. So this is one of the disadvantage. Then prohibitive cost for some structure if the soil to be treated is excessively deep. Okay, if the soil to be treated is excessively deep, its depth of the soil is more than it has got some, the economic, the cost may rise. Okay, and grouting adjacent to unsupported slopes may be ineffective. The slope should be supported. Okay, if we are using it in some slopes, the slopes should be supported slope. If it is unsupported, then slope failure may occur because of the pressure that is provided by the compacted mass. Then difficulty in analyzing results, not suitable in decomposable material, effectiveness questionable in saturated clays. In saturated clays also it is not much effective. So these are the disadvantages you go through. Okay. Then we move to grouting procedure. So till that much is it is clear to all. I'm going a bit fast, but is it clear to all or it is too fast? Please respond. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? What I'm saying so long? It's clear. Only Nanzia. What about others? What about others? Is it clear? Vicky, Donal. Clear. Okay. So all of you are replying. Okay. Okay, I'm going bit fast. So if you don't understand, just tell me in between. Okay. Now we move to grouting procedure. There, what are the procedure that we should go through for grouting? So first and foremost, we know for every any kind of engineering work, the first and foremost thing is site investigation. Okay, what kind of site you are going to work in, then what are the geological behavior of the soil over there, what kind of soil is there. Okay, so site investigation is the most important and first and foremost work of any engineering works, whether it is related to surveying, whether it is related to ground treatment or whatever. Okay. So here also the same thing. So you have to see it is essential to conduct a full site investigation before commencing grouting operations so as to decide the method of grouting. So we need to see what kind of grouting for deciding what kind of grouting to apply. We need to see the condition of the site. Okay, and what should be the depth, up to what depth you need to do the grouting. If the depth is more like in compaction grouting, if the depth is more, the cost becomes more. So we can avoid compaction grouting if the depth is more. So like this, we should take care of. Okay, then geological survey is to be taken of the area with the help of mapping methods and exploring drilling to establish fissures, faults, holes, etc. Then detailed exploration are carried out by drilling boreholes and collecting samples from the laboratory test and to determine the shear strength. So for determining shear strength, grain size, permeability, these are done in the laboratory. So for that we need to collect the sample from the site and we need to carry on the testing process in the laboratory. So this is about the site investigation. Mhm. Then grout hole patterns. So what would be the pattern of the holes of the grout? We need to decide that. So after site investigation, we come to this step. So grouting may be shallow depth with low pressure or deeper depth with higher pressure. So I told you the depth is the important thing we should see. The shallow grouting is done first to seal all major crevices in and consolidate rock, and deep grouting is undertaken later. The field permeability log helps in deciding the zone to be grouted, the type of grout to use, and the possible extent of grout penetration under given pressure. So these things we should see, and the grout depending on the depth of the depth up to what the grouting is required, the holes, number of holes and the spacing between the holes are decided. Okay, and you can see here in the figure the grouting pattern is given. These holes, these are the primary holes is given, and secondary holes are the spaces that are left in between the primary holes. Okay, so first actually the primary holes are filled up. Okay, first the primary holes are filled up, means injection, with the help of injection filled up means routing is done in the primary holes first. Okay, then the secondary holes are grouted. Okay, so you see this, it will be clear. And these are the grout hole spacing is given. How to determine, it will completely depend on permeability of the zone. Permeability, if it is more than if the permeability is more than 1, then grid spacing should be 6 meter, and type of soil is generally fissured rocks. Okay, if the permeability is between 1 to 1 into 10 to the power minus 1. Okay, if it is not clear, you can write it down. Since I'm seeing it, the image is not it is bit blur. So second one is 1 into 10 to the power minus 1. Okay, it is minus 1, and the grid spacing in this case should be 3 meter, and that soil type is medium to coarse sand and gravels. Then it is more than 10 to the power, sorry, less than 10 to the power minus 1. Okay, it is 10 to the power minus 1. The grid spacing is 0.5 to 1 meter. So you see this, if you have any doubt you can ask. Okay, and generally the holes that are made for grouting purpose, the holes that are made for grouting purpose are generally done vertical. Okay, the holes are made vertical, but in some cases, some exceptional cases, the oblique holes are made. Okay, oblique holes means that are not vertical, it is the hole is inclined to some angle. So here it is given the angle, if it is oblique, then the angle should not exceed 15 degree or so to the vertical. The generally it is made vertical, and if it is not made vertical due to some reason or some site condition may not permit the vertical hole, so for that we need to incline the holes to 15 degree with the vertical. Okay, it should not exceed 15 degree, it is the maximum one. Okay, then we come to grout characteristics. What should be the grout characteristics? So I told you before that the main characteristics is its viscosity. The viscosity should be low. Okay, so let's see here. In order to obtain the desired effect of grout should not set quickly, because this may affect the pumping, but should set and harden after the completion of pumping. So one more thing is about setting time. So this, if the material we are going to use as grouting should not set as soon as we insert it in the pipe. Otherwise, what will happen? It will not flow through the pipe. Okay, so it should have certain setting time. Like our pumping work is over, injection work is over, and now it can set. Okay, so we should see this. The viscosity and subsequent rate of hardening are regulated frequency during pumping by addition of additives. So these things can be regulated, like if we are having some chemical which sets as soon as we mix water or something like this. So in that case we cannot use that chemical. So what we can do is we can add some additives to that chemicals so that the setting time is reduced. Then we can use that chemical. Okay, so either we have to use accelerator or retarder or fluids, whatever, depending on the condition. Then also for viscosity also same thing. If the viscosity is very high, then we can use some additives. Okay, so this is told here and nothing else. So the principle to allow in choosing the grout, so these are the few principles that is found out by Harris in 1983. The grout must be able to penetrate the voids of the mass to be injected. Told you before, it should penetrate to the voids. Then number 2, the grout should be resistant to chemical attack when in place. Now some soil, I have told you, some soils are very reactive. So if the grout, the particular grout we are going to use should have the characteristic that it can resist those chemical reaction. Okay, then the grout should be able to develop sufficient shear strength to withstand the hydraulic gradient imposed during injection. So for it should also be able to withstand the hydraulic gradient that is present, and also from it should also resist the effect from flowing groundwater. Okay, so these are the few characteristics, principles of grouting we should see while selecting the grout. Now here are the grout types and applications. So grout type is for classified suspension, emulsion, solution. Then solution grouts again, one shot and two shot. Okay. So depending on this, there are various applications. You just go through and you'll understand. In case you don't, you can ask. Next is grouting plant and equipment. Now, how we supply, how we uh, put the grout to the site. What are the setup of the equipment? It is shown here. Okay. So both suspension and solution grout use same mixing plant and delivery system, and they differ only in their stage and mixing configuration. Okay. Okay, the meeting is going to end within 5 minutes. So when it ends, please join again using the same link. Okay, using the same link, you just join after it gets ended. So solution grout and suspension grout has same system of delivery, but the only thing that differs is in mixing and storage. Okay, so let us see the figure. You see here water meter for ring of water. Here I'm just saying it, you just go through in details later on. Here grout mixture, grout is mixed here through this water is passed. Like if it is suspension grout, we need to mix water. If it is solution grout, then not required, directly we can put the grout in this grout mixture. Then it passes through the agitator where grout is stored. Okay, first you can see this thing, what are the functions, like measuring tank to control the volume of grout injected, mixer to mix the grout ingredients, agitator to keep the solid particles in suspension until pumped, and this thing is not required for chemical grout like solution grout, you can say. Then pump to draw the grout from the agitator to deliver to the pumping line. Control fittings to control the injection rate and pressure so that the whole can regularly blend with water with and thin grout. So let's see what are the purposes. So just move to the diagram. So here grout is mixed, then it is moved to the agitator where a solution the suspended particles are kept separated until it is passed through to the next chamber, and this thing is not required for solution grouts. Okay, then after from the agitator it passes through this line and it is injected to the grout hole. Okay, to the grout hole. This is grout pipes are fitted here and all, and it is injected to the grout hole, and the remaining grout it again passes through these pipes and it reaches the agitator and it is stored there until next is required. Okay, and there are control valves are there. Here pressure gauge is there to pump the pressure is controlled. Then here control valves are there to control the flow of grout. Okay, so this is about how the grout is pumped to the hole. So this it is always necessary that a thoroughly mixed mixing is done in three stages. In three stages it is done. The first is formation of a vortex which acts as centrifugal separator. So here the mixing of grout, about mixing of grouting is done. We start see it here. Then how it is treated, treatment of thicker fraction and unmixed cement from the vortex. These are subjected to a violent shearing action in a mixer rotator. So with the help of rotator, the grouts are mixed. And then it is circulated. Number 3 is circulation of the treated fraction back into the entire grout reaches an uniform consistency. Okay. After the grout reaches the consistency, then it is circulated. Now there are a few precautions. Advocates the following precautions while mixing grout. So go through these precautions. So what are the things we should take care of? Like water is placed first in the mixer. The mixer is run at the maximum speed before adding the cement. Grout is mixed in batches. Then ingredients have to be measured by volume. Enough water should be maintained to cover the water while it is functioning. Then a mixer should not be allowed to run for more than few minutes between batches. The mixer should be cleaned thoroughly after the day's work. So that much is enough for grouting. If you go through, you will understand much clearer. So is it clear to all?